Hey everyone, this is Electra. Thank you for joining me on another sunset chat. 7:14 p.m. Central Daylight Time. These are getting earlier and earlier, aren't they? Yeah. This used to be one of the last things I did before I went to bed, but now it's like a mid-evening activity for me. But yeah, today was totally a recovery day. You saw me in my video last night. I was practically sleeping through it. And so after that, I proceeded to sleep about maybe 11 or 12 hours. I went to sleep around 11, I think. And I woke up around 10 a.m. And I think the problem is I took 2 sleeping pills. I take trazodone, which is a prescribed medication that helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. I took 2 of them, which I think was a major mistake. Since I didn't sleep well at all the night before, I really wanted to make sure I slept well. But the problem is, I slept well, no doubt about it. I don't remember, I didn't even wake up to go to the bathroom, which almost always happens around 4, 5, 6 a.m. And a lot of times I can't just go back to sleep after that, so I'll just stay up. But problem is I'm just so groggy. I feel like I've had brain fog for 2 straight days. And it occurred to me that I feel like I have mental COVID. I have like the mental impairment, the mental brain fog that COVID has, but without any of the other symptoms. I don't have any ear, nose, or throat congestion or cough or runny nose or anything like that. I just have the major brain fog, but I really think that's from taking double my sleep medication, which I won't do again. I don't think it was a help at all. And yeah, it's just, the move's getting closer. I'm feeling really good, but today I'm feeling more like, is this really gonna help? Like, is this really gonna make my life better? Am I gonna be less stressed at the end of the day, or is this just gonna make things more stressful? Am I gonna regret this? I know this is like the Saturn back into Pisces energy right now. I was I'm gonna do it, don't get me wrong, but I'm feeling way less gung-ho about it because is it really gonna be any different? I'm still gonna be living in late stage capitalism, but at least we'll be in a blue state where I'll have more legal protections. I'm gonna have a job that's by no means gonna pay me anywhere near the income that I should have at this point in my career, in my mid-40s. I think it'll at least be fun, and I'll have a lot of I think I'll meet a lot of people, have a lot of social interaction, and I think it'll be good because part of my problem now is I just get no social interaction from anybody. I usually count on getting that from my job. As lackluster as that social interaction can be at work, at least it's something. And right now, I'm not getting anything. But I've done this reset in life a few times now, and it's just, how many more times do I have this in me? That's what I want to know. I've had to do this total life reset 3 or 4 times now. First time was in 2008. The next time was 2012. And then, yeah, basically now. So I'm gonna say 3 times, but it's probably been more like 3.5 or 4. I don't think human beings are designed for this. We're not designed for a lot of the things that are happening to us right now. How many tens and tens of millions of Americans just saw a human being gush blood out of their neck after being shot by a hunting rifle? How many tens of millions of Americans saw that young Ukrainian refugee girl in Charlotte get killed on that mass transit, subway, metro, whatever it is. Yeah, we're not designed for this on mentally, physically, emotionally. And even moving like hundreds or thousands of miles is not something human beings have ever really done until just like maybe the last few hundred years. For almost all of history, most human beings lived like within, 5-10 mile radius of where they were born. And I think there's a certain niceness to that. I've considered moving back to my birthplace and how that would feel. I think it would feel nice. I think it would be a nice little added emotional bonus to life, knowing that this is where I was born. These are the people that are mostly like, if they would be in my tribe if we were still like tribal. We're clearly tribal mentally, but in terms of tribes, like those would have been my people if they weren't transplants themselves to that place. And there's just, and knowing that like a lot of my family lived there. A lot of them are now deceased, but there's still a few that do, that I don't really keep in touch with, admittedly, but it'd be nice living a place that I have a lot of memories, a lot of good memories of childhood and spending time with my grandparents and relatives. I don't have that here in St. Louis. I'm not going to have it in Chicago, where I'm moving. I feel like Chicago is a more similar vibe to where I was born, which is upstate New York, by the way. That's probably the reason I don't really want to move there. I just don't. I think I would like it a lot in some ways, but there's also just, I don't know. Of course, I don't have to live where I was actually born. I could live somewhere else in upstate New York that's more like similar to how I want to live now. And I think the video I posted last night still hasn't gotten a single view. So whatever I'm doing, the algorithm doesn't like. I don't know what to do about that. I feel like my videos are getting less views than they did just a month or two ago. I see people that they have like maybe 10 videos on their whole channel and they're already getting tens of thousands of views and have like hundreds or thousands of subscribers. And I'm just, it's hard not to compare myself, but I know that's not a good thing to do at all. I can't do that. It's a one-way ticket to depression, which I'm already feeling like is coming on because of the shorter days, which it always does this time of year. Moving to Chicago is not gonna be good for that, but I sure as hell can't move back to the South. I don't even really want to live in the West anymore. I used to love the West. I used to love deserts in Southern California, even like Central Northern California, but I just don't feel like it's me now. Like it was 20 years ago, but I was telling a friend, my one friend that I would call a friend right now. We were talking on the phone. We do this every couple weeks or so. And I was saying how like I feel like some cities have gotten very definite archetypes or images about them now that they didn't really have 20 or 30 years ago. Like, it could just be I was like younger back then, but like to me, like Las Vegas, for example, to me just seems like such a trashy town now. When I was younger and I visited it quite a bit in the 90s and 2000s, like it seemed okay. But now I think of just like what exactly happens there, and just the general energy of the place, and just the people there. The people there now are definitely different than they were 20 years ago. It's probably true almost everywhere, but I feel like a place like St. Louis, the Midwest, I think people are probably the most similar to that, to how they were in like the 2000s or even the 90s. When I go down to Texas, I'm also kind of shocked at just how people have changed. Like, I think being in the Midwest kind of shelters you a little bit in terms of how people are now, like in the more economically booming areas, like let's say Dallas, Phoenix, Florida, Las Vegas could be in that. Even though Las Vegas is definitely not booming anymore, but it was until relatively recently, like within a year or two ago. Yeah. Whatever image Chicago has, or most Midwestern cities in general have, like I feel like that it's me. You know, I do like the fact when I'm in Chicago, I feel like, depending on the area, of course, I feel like most people are pretty educated. I'm not around idiots when I'm there. I feel like I'm around idiots here in St. Louis. You can just tell, like, the population here is just not well educated. You know, and the people that are well educated all live in the red areas, like the county. So it's not the right kind of education, or they actively turned against whatever education they had. But it's like, I don't know. It occurred to me to go to law school because I'm reading Charles Sumner's recent biography that was just released, which I'm really enjoying so far. It's talking about like his law. He went to Harvard Law School like when it was brand new, and it just sounds like it'd be really fun. But it's like there's no way it's like that now. So it's just like, what do I do? What am I really going to work this? Like, I know this job I'm about to hopefully get is not going to be like my forever job. I mean, hopefully I'll either advance within that organization if I want, if I need the money, or what? Like, there's no path in life now that has any chance of success. Like, maybe I'm just like, maybe my viewpoint's just too narrow now because I'm looking too much at how the economy was and how that's not what it is anymore. But like, if I don't have kids, and I never will, most likely, but let's say I had a 17-year-old kid right now, which is very possible because I'm 45. If I had a kid when I was 28, which is like a fairly standard age to have your first kid, and they'd be 17 right now. Like, that blows my mind. I cannot imagine having a 17-year-old kid that I'm responsible for, or any kid, because I can barely take care of myself, I feel like. And if I had a 17-year-old kid that needed guidance in life in terms of their career, I would have no clue where to start. Like, how do you even like try to predict the future beyond like a month or two at this point? How do you, like, when I was 17, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah, I was a little naive, but at least you knew that things were going to mostly stay functioning. But now I feel like anything you do, it's a sucker bet. It's not going to work, or if it does work, it's going to be way below the expectations you have. Yeah, and it's like we've just turned into like this, like, I've been calling this country like a glorified casino, like for a long time now, at least a decade or two. But that's what it's basically, a glorified casino where you know the game's against you. The odds are never going to be in your favor, or else it wouldn't exist. And this casino model is just it has been expanded to the whole country. And I don't think it's a coincidence that our current president is, or was, in the casino hotel business for a long time in Atlantic City. Life is not supposed to be a casino. I guess if you wanted it to be like heavily luck dependent or fate dependent, yeah, I guess in our hunter-gatherer days, like, there were a lot of things out of your control. You could have been killed in your sleep by some tiger and you never would have known, or by the time you realized it, it was too late. That's like today's equivalent of a mass shooting in public. We're subjected to all these black swans in our lives that really are no different than if we're living in the wild, hunter-gatherers or in tribes. It's just, now it's like sublimated into our so-called civilized society. And there was something I was thinking about that I wanted to talk about this. I just had it in my head like 10 seconds ago. Let me start talking, maybe it'll come back. Now I can't, now I'm just upset. But, oh yeah, okay. If you've ever seen the movie 2001, directed by Stanley Kubrick, you might remember the first like 15 minutes of the movie is not about space at all. It's about a tribe of some sort of monkey. You know, I'm not a wildlife expert, so I'm not gonna try to name it. It's like, but they're like normal sized monkeys, you know, maybe they were chimpanzees or, you know, I don't know what they were. It was it was presumably in Africa, just based on the scenery, but I know from watching a documentary on that film, it was all just hand painted, you know, backgrounds, but it definitely looked to me like it was Africa, if I had to guess. And this tribe of some sort of monkey was getting decimated by this other tribe of monkeys that were just brutal. They were the barbarians of that area. They would attack these more even-tempered monkeys in the middle of the night when they knew they were sleeping and kill them. And this happened a few times before these evil, you know, the even-tempered, the more peaceful ones finally discovered a way to strike back. They discovered that they found a large bone, probably from some sort of animal that died on the Serengeti. And one of them they grabbed this bone, they held it up, and they started just smashing this rest of the skeleton of this animal that died, that had this bone. They smashed this skeleton, and you can see the epiphany in this monkey's eyes that this is big. He just discovered what a weapon is. And you know what they do with it? The next time the barbaric monkeys come back to attack them in the middle of the night, they're ready for them. And they fucking kill those guys with this bone. It shows this monkey just like triumphantly bashing this monkey and killing it. So, and then there's a famous cutscene where they throw the bone up in the air, and then the bone like just suddenly quickly cuts into a spacecraft, and that's when the rest of the movie really starts. And so I think what this is trying to say is that being peaceful, being even-tempered, you're going to get destroyed unless you become a little bit of what you're trying to defeat. In order to beat a barbaric creature, you need to adapt a little bit of that barbarianness, but then flip it around on them, if that makes sense. So in a way, weapons have even the playing field between the brutes and the barbarians that just live to kill and terrorize. Weapons gave the peaceful and the even-tempered, the thinking and feeling people, an ability to fight back and defend themselves. But now all those weapons are in the hands of the barbarians and the people who don't know how to think or feel in a way that is compatible with our modern society and what it needs to be, what it needs to become for the future. And peace only goes so far. Nonviolence can only go so far. I'm not saying we should be the attackers, because that's not a path to victory either, especially in the modern world. Like, Lincoln made sure the Union was attacked first at Fort Sumter. If Lincoln took the offensive and somehow attacked the Confederacy first, the Confederacy would have benefited from that greatly, because then they could have said, like, oh, we're the victims here, we were attacked, let's fight back. And that always seems to generate more fervor than being the attacker. Same thing with Pearl Harbor. I mean, FDR, he basically knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. But he didn't prevent it, because he knew that would generate the political will to fight and actually declare war on Japan without the American public revolting. And not only that, but I mean, Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers really soon after Fort Sumter was bombarded by the Confederates. And he got way more than that. Like, people want to fight. There's a certain amount of violence that is inherent in our being that is not being tapped. It's being subverted and it's being suppressed, and it is showing itself in the most terrifying, horrifying ways possible in civilized society itself, rather than being ported into a contained battlefield of some kind where trained combatants, volunteers and or conscripted soldiers, if necessary, take on this responsibility of being dealt violence, dealing violence back, so civilized civilians and non-combatants don't have to bear that burden, that stress. And I think that's why so many of us are so exhausted right now, is we are dealing with that stress. We know every time we step outside, we are, in a way, on a battlefield. We are on a battlefield that we never signed up for, that we never should have to be on in a truly civilized society that knows how to handle conflict and knows how to resolve it in a civilized way. Right now, this world does not know how to do that. I think that's all I'm going to say for tonight. Yeah. Please like, share, subscribe. Would love to have your comments. And what do you think about what I'm saying? Like, I know it's a very unorthodox line of thought, but I pride myself on talking about ideas and concepts that no one else is, because I have nothing to lose, quite frankly. I'm unemployed right now, and I really don't care, like, I'm living my life the way I want to live it, and that is to be a truth teller. That was my personality type when I took that it was some kind of quiz I took, and if you look at my YouTube homepage, there's the banner at the very top of the page has like these things like extroversion, neuroticism. That all came from a certain personality test, and my overall type is the truth teller, and that's what I want to do. So I hope you enjoy that kind of content, because that's pretty much all I'm going to do here, and possibly talk about some trans subjects at some points, and really whatever I feel like talking about, that's just what I do here. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you again on the next one. Have a nice night, and I will see you soon. Bye.